Now from Atlanta News First Plus, this is Sports Tonight.
Welcome into Sports Tonight. I am Bailey Burmaster, joined alongside Ellie Parker for your Friday edition. What we got on the lineup, we are going to talk about Falcons ahead of Monday Night Football against the Eagles. Then we are going to talk about UGA as they get ready for Kentucky. That is a night game. We have to talk about the Thursday Night Football game and what happened with Tua. Very interesting topic right now. And then something I've been implementing as a question of the week for Ellie to get all fired up about because we love to see her overreact.
Okay.
But let's start with Falcons. The biggest talking point coming into this week was this offense, Zach Robinson and Kirk Cousins. There was a lot of media and I guess social media hype and discussion about how much they were in the pistol and shotgun formation, which basically was to keep Kirk Cousins limited in mobility and not make him move too much, which led to questions of, is he fully healthy? Is his Achilles healed? Well, we finally got a lot of clarity yesterday. Let's start with the fact everyone involved has said Kirk Cousins is healthy, point blank, stop. Nothing in the game plan has been altered for that. So that's good to hear, but then you're also going, okay, but he played really bad, so what's the excuse? And how much they were in pistol and shotgun was brought up, and offensive coordinator Zach Robinson basically said they like being in the pistol because it gives flexibility in whatever you want to do. They did it a lot with the Rams, and that's what they wanted to implement here. Then we were able to talk to Kirk Cousins, and kudos to Zach and Kirk. They both completely took accountability for the lack of production on offense, which I think is a really good start. Everyone just needs to remember it's week one.
It's week one, but also $180 million man.
Coming off an injury, and okay, listen, money is always going to be a thing, right? But it could be worse. You could be Deshaun Watson.
True.
You could
True.
So give some grace. Let's see how they rebound this week. But Kirk was really interesting in talking to because he also talked about his stance in the pistol and shotgun because he wasn't really doing a whole lot under center, which we had seen him in training camp under center. So it was just kind of confusing as to why we weren't seeing it in game. And who knows if we'll see it more this week. But he talked about his stance and how he started he's doing a square stance now, which he's done before way back earlier in his career. And that's what he feels more comfortable in right now. But they're not going to give game plans away. They weren't going to get into what we're going to see this week, but they understand it needs to be better. And that's what they've been working on. I think a funny storyline out of all of this is this past Sunday, after they lost to the Steelers, I asked Kirk, what's his process after a game? How does he go about it? He says he dives into the film right away, and then he does voice notes, and he'll voice notes coaches to just immediately start talking about plays or what could have been better. So there was a follow-up with Zach about did he receive any voice notes from Kirk, and he said he did, and they were rather lengthy. Not a big voice note guy, so he didn't voice note back, but he made notes of it, so they were, could move forward. So that was something interesting. But any feelings about this before we hear from Kirk?
Can only go up from here, right?
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? So Kirk Cousins was at the podium. He talked a lot about the game, moving forward. And, you'll hear him talk about his stance and pistol and shotgun, and he explains it really well. So let's hear from Kirk.
Yeah, I was talking to Richard Sherman yesterday, and he was talking about the psychology of coming back from the Achilles. Where are you at with that part of it? And he said it looked like you didn't want to put your foot on the ground. And how are you dealing with, trying to play with it and the psychology of, getting, back to trusting that part of your body?
I feel good. If I don't know what he was seeing, but whatever it wasn't my Achilles. It could have been just trying to get the laces or trying to, whatever it may be. But no, the Achilles feels good, and feel like I can move and push as I normally would.
Could you explain how tough that is? He said it's tough coming back from that injury.
Well, it takes time, but I feel like we kind of crossed that threshold a while back, and I think what you have to get back into is the red jersey's off. It's live football. Not from an Achilles standpoint, but just from playing quarterback standpoint. That, we've got to get, having not played since week 8 last year, you just got to get back into that mode, which practice you try to simulate the best you can, but it's always hard to create that.
A lot of this has been made since Sunday of shotgun snaps versus pistol snaps, feet parallel, and you got pictures of you and Washington and up and back.
Yeah.
Where are we at with the alignments and the formation?
Yeah, we started with pistol back in April. That was a big fundamental philosophy, talking with, our offensive line coach, talking with our coaches as to what we wanted to do schematically. And then they basically said in the pistol, you can stand however you want. And back in April, I said, I just feel like I'm closed off, to the right, handing the ball off. The back's on you really quick in the pistol under center. He's not on you as quick. And I thought, turning right with my right foot forward like I've been in the past. In the pistol, it's hard to do because I'm kind of closed off. It's hard to get open to the back the way I want. So I think I'm going to square up my stance. Watch some tape of Peyton Manning, who, when he was in the pistol, had some success with it. He was kind of a square stance. Thought he looked pretty comfortable, had a good rhythm to it. I thought I'm going to try that. I was going back to 2013. I was in the pistol a lot when I backed up Robert Griffin because of the zone read. We were in the pistol a lot, and I was always a square stance in the pistol. So I thought, going back 10 years, my history in 2013 was 2012 was square stance in the pistol. I'm going to go back to that. So if you go back and watch that tape, 2012, 2013, it was a square stance. And then I was left foot up when Kevin O'Connell got to Minnesota. I'd always been right foot up. He then said, I want to try left foot up. And then went back to right foot up in 23. So it's been a constant evolution, but you're always kind of working through it, and felt like square stance in the pistol made the most sense.
At this point, what's the most comfortable for you?
Just because of what I've been repping it, what you've been doing lately, which would be the square stance. Yeah.
Zach seemed to be indicating that he felt like the pistol was the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
With under center and shotgun. Does that ring true to you in your playing experience?
Yeah, I think you obviously can give some space from the pass rush, and then you also still can have good meshes with your run game. So that's kind of the thought behind it.
Do you feel comfortable? You've had a lot of success in your career under center.
Sure,
So do you
sure.
feel as
Yeah,
comfortable in this
I think
world?
you kind of feel comfortable in all three. Gun, under center, pistol. I think it's a little bit of, you call it, I got to go ball it. And I've played in so many systems. I think I've had 9 play callers. I think I've had, on 3 different teams. So, you've learned to kind of say, hey, what do you want to do? What do you believe in? Teach me it and let me go learn it and do it. And that's kind of always been my approach going back, 7, 8, 9 play callers.
To that point, how comfortable are you telling Zach, hey, here's things that have worked for me or not?
Oh, yeah.
Certain play callers, or here's what I've learned.
Yeah, it's been
about
great with Zach, having good feedback, good conversation since April of, hey, here's my history, but also, what have you done? And both ways explaining why. Hey, I want you to do this, here's why. Or, hey, I would like to do this, here's why. So you kind of come to this, I wouldn't even say like middle ground, but you come to this place of, okay, here's some feedback I give, here's some feedback you give. So there's a lot of communication back and forth to make sure that we're both feeling good about what we're doing.
I was going to say, he was talking about how voice memos have been
Yeah,
not
yeah.
necessarily exchanged by him.
Yeah.
What's like the average length of one of those? Like,
Yeah, I'll just be driving in my car and hit record and just start talking. Hey, Zach, I'm watching film, leaving practice, thinking about this. What do you think about this? What if we try this? Just give you some thoughts. And I think it just enables him to listen on his best time, because I may go up to his office, he may be meeting with somebody, he may be busy in the middle of a film session. So you give him the voice memo, he can hear it at his own time and digest it before he has to give a response. I think that's the other thing is, hey, I want to give this some thought. If you like this, let me give it some thought as to the pros and cons, and then let me get back to you as opposed to having to have an answer in the moment. So I like the voice memo thing. I learned that from another quarterback who's retired now, and he told me how you just voice memo his coaches to death. And I thought, that's a good idea. I'm going to try to do that. So.
How much did you feel like self-inflicted penalties as an offense on Sunday really was the result?
It was a big deal. It was a big deal. The word self-inflicted mistakes, even not just penalties, it was a big deal. You cannot beat yourself. Raheem said the night before the game, he said, our offense, I have one goal for you, be clean and crisp. And sounds easy, it's not. But I knew it. I said, if we're a clean and crisp offense tomorrow, we'll win. We were not, and so we lost. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm saying myself. I got to play better. I got to operate it better. And I was probably the center of it not being clean and crisp. So that frustrated me deeply because I take so much place such an importance on that in running the operation clean and crisp. And so that's what has to be better Monday night.
I know that for you, you have to turn the page and you got to look to Monday Night Football, but how much did that sit and bother you for a second after Sunday?
Yeah, more than a second. I'm sitting there Sunday night pretty disappointed. But you got games from 2013 that still bother me, so I got scars. More than Achilles tendon scar, I got scars. So games will do that to you. You care a lot about it. It matters to you, and when it doesn't go how you had wanted it to, it hurts. And so obviously a sense of urgency for Monday.
I think you mentioned that opening drive that you felt like you guys were able to put
Right.
some nice work, obviously,
Right.
and then Zach mentioned the same thing. And the 2-minute offense heading into halftime, I mean, how do you look at those and think, okay, there's some nice things there, we can build upon that?
Certainly, you have a good 12-play drive to start the season, get down into field goal range. Even there, I think we could have been sharper. When we get down to the low red, there might have been a chance to not kick a field goal, score a touchdown if we're more of a clean and crisp offense, as Raheem had challenged us. And even in the 2-minute, though, when you go down and score, go back and watch the tape, there's a play where the ball goes up in the air, Ray catches it, but it also could have been intercepted. And so my point is you have some plays where you go, hey, we scored, but let's look at the process. We still got to be sharper. So it goes both ways. And there were drives where you say, hey, we're way sharper than the result, but the penalty prevented us from being able to show how clean and crisp we are operating. And so it goes both ways. And, we got a small sample size right now, and we got to get out there on the grass and play more games and keep building and see where we are.
There was a note on Twitter that you were shotgun passed every play, and then you ran 80% out of pistol. I guess as you do self-scout and as you go forward, I imagine you're probably better off mixing those things up more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't get too much into that. I'll kind of leave that to the analytics and the coaches to try to make sure that we don't have tells, but certainly, you don't want any tells, with what you're doing. And so you want to make sure you have a good balance there.
Sunday would have been the most physical stress you put on not just the Achilles, but the rest of you in
Sure.
a while. So did you feel okay Monday?
Yeah. Yeah, felt good. Was grateful to come out of the game feeling good and during the game. You're always going to have a little muscle soreness in the neck and stuff after games, because it's always like you're in a car accident after each game, but came out just fine.
With the self-inflicted wounds, how do you fix that going into week 2? Is it simple things here and there, or how do you kind of evaluate all that?
There's no way to just, hey, if we do this, we won't make a single mistake. So I wish there was, but it's just, in meetings, it's taking great notes, it's talking through it, it's making sure at practice everybody's on the same page, it's making sure the walkthroughs are tight. If you have questions, they get asked and they get answered. So it's just this constant process every day of coming in here and getting a lot of work done and getting to where you really just can finish each other's sentences and really own the plan. And that's what every week is in this league. And that gives you your best chance then to really operate well come game day.
Have you seen that differently playing out this week than it did last week?
No, shame on me or shame on us if it suddenly has to be different. I think it's just your process. You have to keep building. There has to be continuous improvement. And the more time on task you can have, the sharper you can be. I think we have a pretty good process, and we just have to keep stacking days.
Your last Monday night game, I believe, was right before your injury. Like, do you have that in the back of your mind of, like, motivation, or, like, how close do you feel to that level of play?
No, not really. Not really. I remember the game you're referencing. It was great energy. Not really. I think the next week going to Lambeau, I think I'll always kind of associate Lambeau with the injury, but not much beyond that.
How do you go get Drake London more involved in the attack?
Well, we got to stay on the field. I think we only had 50-some plays, and if you can have 75 plays, that's 25 more opportunities to get Drake London involved. So when you're converting third downs, when you're staying on the field, when you're in manageable down and distances, you're going to get more at-bats for everybody. And if you have 50-play games, it's going to be tough to get your whole unit involved. And then when you're in 3rd and 15, they're going to cover deep and cover the Drake London routes, and you're going to have to check it down. So we just got to, execute well on 1st and 2nd down and 3rd down and kind of give ourselves the chance to be in advantageous situations, which then gives you the ability to kind of put the wind at your back and involve, everybody that you want to involve.
Kirk, there's a lot of young faces in that locker room who have not played in a Monday Night Football game. How excited are you for them to experience that in prime time for the first time?
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be excited, ready to go. How could you not? You know, it's a great environment, and you know, I think NFL football, no matter where it's played, when it's played, you got to be ready. You got to be at your best, and they know that, and they will be Monday night.
Kirk, you're about to face a stout defensive front in the Eagles this Monday night. How do you counter that pass rush and protect yourself?
Well, you know, you trust your line in front of you. You trust the plan, but you don't try to hold on to it forever. You know, you try to get through your progressions quickly and be decisive and be accurate. And you know, that's kind of how you play every week, because in the NFL, pass rush is real, and you try to own that. You know, every play, and that's what we'll do Monday night.
Did you end up thanking the first guy who hit you?
I didn't. I'm trying to think what that first hit probably would have been. I think it was a third down conversion to Mooney. My neck still hurts from it, but it is what it is. You know, you got popped, and you say, all right, this is football. Here we go. And at one point, T.J. Watt said hello, and he said it in a way where you're like, you know, it's like your neighbor saying hello, you know, down the street. I'm like, yeah, we're not neighbors. So obviously a great person off the field, but he's a problem on it.
There's naturally so much more eyes when it comes to, you know, primetime games and Monday Night Football. How do you, you know, shutter out that noise?
You just go play. I think the shuttering of noise, I mean, welcome to the NFL. You know, you got to come into this building, go to work every day, and it doesn't matter when you're playing, who you're playing, where you're playing. It's about, you know, coming to work, doing your job, ignoring the noise. And if you ride this roller coaster in this league, you're going to be riding quite a ride. So you got to find a way to just kind of stay steady. And it's not easy, but it's what you got to do, and it's something that every player and coach is faced with.
A lot of that noise is, you know, some of those numbers, whether, you know, the 3 and 10 in Monday night. Is that something that you notice, or is it just like it's all noise?
I mean, I'd love to go out and, you know, be undefeated on Monday night. I would love to have that be a different record, but I feel like I've always played pretty consistent. You know, whether we won or lost, okay, there's, you know, things that happen that can affect the results, but I think if my play was dramatically different on Monday night, I'd go, hey, I got to go look at this. But when I look at it, I go, not really playing any different. I'm still the same quarterback I am in other days and nights and mornings. And so I think when you feel like your play is consistent, then you say, yeah, I mean, the results are what they are. And many times, you know, we were roughly 500, and Monday night we were playing teams that were winning their divisions and finishing 13-3 and going to the NFC Championship game or the Super Bowl. And so, yeah, most of the time the betting odds were that you're probably going to lose. And so it kind of goes that way too, where it's like, hey, you're playing good football teams on Monday night, and you know, you got to face those challenges.
Anything else?
Okay, so we will see how that fares for the Falcons. Eagles, Monday Night Football. Some interesting stats if you needed it. 12-21 all-time primetime games for Kirk Cousins, and he's 3-10 on Monday Night Football. He's faced the Eagles twice. In one of those games, I believe he had 3 interceptions. The other one, he had 1. And he has never beat them on Monday Night Football. So we will see if that can change on Monday.
We'll see.
Let's head to some Georgia talk. Georgia facing a familiar face in Brock Vandergrift and the Kentucky Wildcats at Kroger Field. That game is 7:30 tomorrow. What are you expecting from the Dogs in this one?
I talked about this with Connor yesterday. Kentucky is the SEC's Purdue.
Ooh.
If you don't know, in certain college football circles, Purdue is known as the spoiler makers because they are never a team that's going to compete for the Big Ten championship, but they are always going to ruin the season of someone who hopes to, and Kentucky is very much that team. This team always finds a way to ruin someone's season. This is a trap game.
I think that's fair. I don't know if this is that trap game for Georgia, for the mere fact Georgia is Georgia.
Yes, Georgia is Georgia. But you never know.
You don't, especially I think the forecast has rain. Rain is the great equalizer. So we'll see how it fares. They did have another player arrested. Might be worth mentioning. I think there's a crazy stat out there that it's like well over 20 have been arrested for speeding at this point.
Daniel Harris, sophomore.
Corner.
Clocked going 106 miles an hour.
5 misdemeanors, two tinted windows,
Two tinted
speeding.
windows. He was not wearing his seatbelt, reckless driving, did not have insurance, and was driving on an expired tag.
I am sure Kirby Smart is more than livid on this Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Because I do think he's tried to do his due diligence and educating these guys and telling them why and making sure they don't do these things. Because it's a problem, and you never know who might be on the other end if something happens. So it's really something to take into account. So I'm sure there is severe consequences now for people once they've talked about it so much for everything that's going on. So something that definitely came down today. But nonetheless, Georgia continues on with their season tomorrow at 7:30. Let's talk about some Thursday night football. Something that caught the eyes of everyone was Tua Tagovailoa getting another concussion. This is his fourth concussion in like the last 2 years. If you remember, he just signed a massive deal with the Dolphins, and a reason.
And this was not a. Actually, we have a picture. You can see it. This was not a. This isn't a bad hit.
No, that's DeMar Hamlin.
That's DeMar Hamlin.
Tua just wasn't going to quit on the play and ran into DeMar and immediately fell and kind of stiffed up in his right arm a little bit and whatnot, but immediately walked off. There was a picture that was just all over social media of Mike McDaniel kissing Tua. And I think he said he told him something like, "You're the captain of your family, so like always remember that." But this was a huge reason when he was going to sign a new contract. There was hesitation on the Dolphins side because of his concussions and the things he had faced. So I don't know what the future holds. There's been a lot of speculation around that. I know if it was me, and at this point you have that many concussions, it might be time to walk away, which is really sad because it's super early. And
he's 26.
Yeah, and he's definitely found his footing a little bit more than when he started. But at what point does it become bigger than football?
Let's hear from Manti Te'o, who happens to know Tua on Good Morning Football. Manti had a lot to say about the concussion and how he's been in contact with Tua's family and how everyone close to him has been feeling about the situation.
You are both from Hawaii, you and Tua. You know his family, you know his parents. It was hard for football fans to watch this unfold last night, but I cannot imagine what it was like for you.
Yeah, it was definitely hard for me to watch it. I know it's even harder for Uncle Nalu and Auntie Diane to watch it. As a father myself, the last thing I'd ever want to see is one of my own have to suffer an injury like that, which we had scares in the past. And I've had my conversations with Uncle Nalu. I've had my conversations with Tua. What's nice is Mike McDaniel. He said it very, very clearly. The only thing that matters is Tua and his health. And we'll continue to monitor it closely. Uncle Nalu texted me back this morning and told me that he'll let he'll let Tua know that all of our prayers are with him. And I know that he's in good hands with his family and the Miami Dolphins organization and how they've handled it.
So what are your takeaways, El?
He's got to retire.
Yeah.
He has to. I'm sorry. Kalen DeBoer probably has an open seat for him at Bama. Go get paid.
Yeah, if he wants to be a coach. I don't even know what he wants to be a coach. It's probably just a hard reality to face.
If the Dolphins wanted, they could restructure the contract and put him on the sideline. I don't know.
Keep in mind, too, we don't actually know what the contract is. I would not be surprised if the Dolphins had a policy in place, kind of similar to what they've been talking about with Deshaun Watson, that if another sexual allegation comes up, that they can void the contract. I would not be surprised if there's some clause in there for concussions where Tua is concerned, to where they both can mutually part ways and neither of them gets hindered in any sort of way. But you hate to see it, and I think Josh Allen kind of said it best. That's part of the game, unfortunately, and it's the worst part of the game. Something we've been doing on Fridays is having a little fun. So anyone who doesn't, there's probably a lot of people who don't follow me on Instagram. That's fine. But I do a question with our anchors ever so often, like a random fishbowl question, and I have everyone answer it, and it's a lot of fun. I have 2 today.
Oh, God.
I'm going to ask the anchors later today. I think Fred might be in here, so he's going to be listening. Maybe, maybe not. Is Sean's over there, so I'm just going to, whisper it ever so softly. But there's 2. The first one is, what is something that is severely underrated? And it's a very broad question.
Severely
because you can take it
underrated.
anywhere you want.
Do you want my hot take?
Okay.
Hartsfield Jackson.
Okay, explain yourself.
It's actually an incredibly efficient airport, and people are just frustrated because it's big and busy.
You know what? I think that's really valid. Because for how big it is, I do think it's pretty efficient. You have to know the little, like, intricacies.
Which I do. I fly out of there a lot.
Yeah. My only gripe is, so I'm an early flyer.
Absolutely.
Like, I am on the first
Red
flight
eyes.
out all the time. Like, that 5 a.m. flight, I'm your girl. The thing that makes me mad is the Chick-fil-A, is it Concourse A or B?
A.
It's always popping at that hour, and I almost never have enough time.
Somewhat related to this. The Krispy Kreme in Concourse C opens at 8 a.m.
Okay.
I, again, love red-eye flights because I get off at midnight. I can just get off of work, pack, and then be at the airport and not have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a donut place. Open at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Come on.
I will also say this, if you love biscuits, so I didn't have enough time. I was actually going somewhere for work for this. Maybe it was New York for the draft, and I wanted Chick-fil-A to get on the flight, but the line was too long. But there was a place right across from Chick-fil-A that has breakfast. I can't remember the name of it.
I want to say that's Atlanta Bread Company that's right there.
No. It's not Atlanta Bread. It's some random, like, Southern cooking place. Long story short, I got a biscuit and egg, and that's all I wanted. And it lived up to what I wanted. And so I got so happy because now I know that if I can't get Chick-fil-A, I will definitely get that again. Okay, so that is question 1. So underrated, Hartsfield Jackson. Nice, that's a good answer. The second one is, what is a concert you've been dying to go to, but you're too scared to admit it out loud because you might get publicly shamed?
Look, I'm a huge music fan. I'm a huge music fan.
Okay.
I love live music. I love concerts. There is no concert that I'm like, you know what? I'm not ashamed to go to this. There is no answer for that because I've been to hundreds.
Like, okay, I also have a wide music taste, but I would say that for me, it would be like a Chevelle or Bring Me the Horizon concert. More so, not that I'm like wouldn't go because people would judge me, but more so people would look at me and be like, I can't imagine seeing you at a Bring Me the Horizon concert.
Oh, I've talked about moshing at punk concerts, and Jordan Barella over here doesn't believe me that I've done it.
I believe it.
I've lost
What?
my shoes in the pit. Yes, you did.
Where did you mosh?
Jeff Rosenstock.
Okay.
For me, moshing has to be an artist that I absolutely love because I can only last for 2 or 3 songs at a time because I'm 5'6". I get knocked around.
Oh, I could never. There's
So-
times where I'm like, I just gotta like get my own space. Okay, love that. Let's wrap up with what's on your mind. I'll start and then I'll let you take over and then we'll get out of here. Preseason hockey.
Let's go.
It's here. It's coming.
So the two of us for like the next 7 months are always going to find some reason to talk about
Some
hockey.
random hockey angle.
As for what's on my mind, another bird has died at an MLB batting practice. Rip to the random pigeon that Michael Massey murdered this afternoon.
It's always so graphic. Why does that stuff have to always be so graphic?
I don't know.
And you know what the worst part is? Is like, there has to be some type of study. This is going to get a little graphic on here, but I'll use my hands instead. Of like when the ball intersects with the bird, the bird does this number.
Yeah.
You almost think it would be like, but it's more.
That bird just drops.
It just drops in the blink of an eye. So rip to another bird. Braves, man, hosting the Dodgers this weekend. Oh, we should talk about that. That should really be what's on my mind. Shohei Ohtani
Long
in town.
tossing, let's go.
Looking to go 50-50, 50 homers, 50 stolen bases. First player in history to do it. Sits at 47, a new record for him. 4-game set, 7:20 tonight. So we'll see. Hopefully he doesn't get that against the Braves, but we are definitely watching in case he does.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that does it for this edition of Sports Tonight. For Ellie Parker, I'm Bailey Burmaster. Have a great weekend and make sure to join us next week. See ya.